They said, "It's your brother's house now." Those words were a dagger wrapped in silk, delivered with a smile that pretended to care. You could hear the ownership in their tone, the certainty, the entitlement. Emory had worked 3 jobs, saved every dime, and signed every line on that mortgage alone. The condo wasn't just property, it was proof that she could survive without them. But now, they stood on her doorstep with forged papers, acting like her years of effort were just a misunderstanding. That's how corruption begins, softly through family. Her mother's eyes glistened. "Sweetheart, it's not about money, it's about fairness." But fairness, Emory realized, was always defined by whoever held the pen. When she refused to open the door, her mother's face changed. Affection vanished, replaced by fury. "Your father wanted it this way," she snapped. A lie. One Emory could smell through the wood and distance. It wasn't about her father. It wasn't even about the condo. It was about control. And when she whispered, "You don't own me?" the house itself seemed to come alive. The walls that once echoed family laughter now pulsed with something else. Truth, because truth doesn't whisper forever. Eventually, it demands to be heard. The papers were printed on cream stock, thick enough to feel legitimate. Her brother's name neatly typed where hers should have been. Her mother called it a family transfer. Emory called it fraud. They thought she'd panic, that the sight of legal ink in bold fonts would make her collapse into compliance. But instead, she poured coffee, sat down, and began reading. Slowly. Intentionally. Every false clause. Every forged initial. And when she reached the end, she simply said, "You should have at least copied my signature right." The truth. Her payments had covered not just her condo, but part of Bryce's failed investments too. He had drained her without telling her. Her loan contributions had saved him from bankruptcy. The betrayal was deeper than she ever imagined, but instead of breaking her, it clarified everything. This wasn't just greed, it was inheritance. Generational corruption passed down like a disease, and she decided it would end with her. The next morning she met with an attorney, quiet, competent, unshakable. Together, they built a wall of documentation so strong it could pierce any illusion her family tried to conjure. Copies were filed with the court, backup drives stored in safes. Even the HOA received notice of pending fraud investigation. Her mother's manipulation had always thrived in secrecy. Now every secret was dragged into light, and light is the one thing deceit cannot survive. When the subpoenas arrived, panic spread like wildfire. Her brother called, his voice shaking. "You didn't have to go this far," she replied. "You went further, you just thought I wouldn't fight back." He stammered excuses, but she wasn't listening anymore. The sound of accountability drowns out the cries of the guilty. Her mother tried one last time, appearing at her door with tears and prayers. "Family shouldn't go to war like this," she whispered. Emory looked her dead in the eye. "Family doesn't forge signatures." The courtroom was silent, that eerie, anticipatory silence before history changes hands. Her family sat on one side, tense and trembling. She sat alone but not weak, calm, composed, invincible in truth. When the evidence was presented, every transfer, every timestamp, every receipt, the judge didn't even hesitate. Ownership reaffirmed. Fraud documented. Case closed. Her brother buried his face in his hands. Her mother turned pale, her empire of manipulation collapsing in real time. And for the first time, Emory didn't feel victorious. She felt free. They didn't speak to her for months. The silence that followed wasn't peace, it was exile. But Emory didn't crave their voices anymore. She began rebuilding. Her home became sacred ground, not because of its beauty, but because it was finally hers. Freedom doesn't always come with applause. Sometimes it comes in quiet mornings and locked doors that only open with your key. One evening, there was a knock. She opened the door. Her mother stood there, older, softer, holding a photo album. "Your brother's gone," she said. "He left the city, lost everything." Emory didn't answer. She looked at the album, childhood memories, smiles before the betrayal. For a brief second, pain flickered again, then she closed the album and handed it back. "I hope he finds himself," she said, "but I already did." In solitude, she finally understood something profound. Blood doesn't define loyalty. Truth does. Family isn't who shares your DNA, it's who respects your boundaries. Her home had been a battleground. Now it was a sanctuary, a symbol of spiritual evolution, from guilt to sovereignty. The devouring force of truth had consumed everything false, and what remained was pure. Months later, she stood on her balcony, sunrise spilling gold across her city. The condo gleamed like redemption itself. She thought of the words that started it all. "It's your brother's house now," and she smiled, because those words had forged her awakening. Truth had not destroyed her family, it had revealed it, and that revelation was liberation. To those watching, if you've ever been told you don't deserve what you built, remember, proof is power. Comment "I stand where the proof stands" twice below, to anchor your truth in this world, because once you awaken, you don't just survive, you own what's yours, body, mind, and destiny. It was late, the kind of quiet hour when even the city seems to hold its breath. Emory stood before the mirror in her living room, the one she'd almost sold during the chaos. Her reflection looked different now, not softer, not colder, just real. That's what truth does to a person. It strips away every disguise you were trained to wear, the obedient daughter, the peacekeeper, the apologetic one. What's left isn't who you become, it's who you always were before fear took over. In that reflection, she didn't see the victim of family betrayal. She saw the architect of survival. Her phone buzzed, an unknown number, a message. "You think you've won? Wait till you see what comes next." She didn't panic, because that's how broken systems behave. Even in defeat, they still try to whisper fear. But fear no longer found a home in her. She took a deep breath, turned the camera on and began to record. Not for defense this time, but documentation. Because truth once exposed must stay alive in the record. "People think betrayal ends when the enemy leaves," she said into the lens. "But betrayal ends when you stop needing to prove they were wrong." That clip would later spread. Not because it was dramatic, but because it was true. Thousands of people who'd faced manipulation, injustice, and emotional theft would hear her voice and see their own pain reflected back. She had become more than a survivor. She had become a mirror. And that's when she realized something ancient. Truth isn't just a weapon, it's a contagion. It infects systems, bloodlines, and minds, until every hidden lie begins to rot from within. When the devouring force moves through you, it doesn't leave you untouched, it leaves you reborn. So as the lights flickered and the city hummed below, she whispered one final vow to her reflection. "I will never shrink again to fit back into the story that broke me." And for the first time in her life, the reflection didn't just look back. It agreed, because she was no longer fighting for her home. She had become one. There's a sound that follows the collapse of deceit. It's not loud, not like thunder or breaking glass. It's softer, heavier, like the distant echo of chains hitting the ground. That's what filled the air days after Emory's victory. Her brother moved out of the condo, his silence heavier than any apology. Her mother's number blocked, but every once in a while Emory could almost feel their eyes, like ghosts haunting the threshold of a house they no longer owned. Because that's what happens when you stand against control. Those who fed on your submission don't just lose power, they lose identity. She learned that day that not every prison has bars. Some are built of memory. And when you break free, the jailer becomes the prisoner. Weeks passed. Papers were filed, receipts verified, the law, once indifferent, bent toward truth, if only for a moment. But Emory knew it wasn't the legal win that mattered. It was the energetic one. The invisible reclamation of everything they had stolen under the guise of love. One night she returned to the condo balcony, the same place her mother had once stood, claiming it wasn't hers. She looked down at the city, glowing like circuitry beneath the dark sky. Every window below her held another life, another story, another silent rebellion. That's when she whispered into the wind, for every soul who was told to give up what they earned, don't. Not again. And for a moment she swore the air shifted. The hum of the city softened, like it was listening. Then the thought came, maybe all this pain wasn't punishment. Maybe it was purification. Maybe every betrayal was a test of alignment, to burn away what was false until only the truth could remain. She closed her eyes. Behind them she saw faces. Ancestors, perhaps. Those who had been silenced, controlled, erased. And she felt something almost electric move through her spine, as if the past itself had been waiting for her to say those words. Because when one person reclaims their voice, it doesn't echo alone. It reverberates through generations. The condemned were never the enslaved. They were the awakened ones. Those who dared to see. Those who dared to speak. Those who dared to say no more. By the time dawn arrived, the air itself felt different. Dense, alive, like it carried the residue of something sacred. Emory stood barefoot on the cold tile floor of her condo, surrounded by silence so complete it felt intentional, like the universe was pausing to witness what she had become. This was no longer the space she'd fought to defend. it had transformed, not through renovation or victory, but through presence. Every wall, every shadow, every small imperfection seemed to recognize her now, as if the home itself had chosen its rightful keeper. But the truth, the devouring force, had grown beyond her. It had consumed her fear, her guilt, her need to be understood. And what remained was something unrecognizable to those who once knew her. Not rage, not vengeance, but power in its purest, most dangerous form. Awareness. She realized then that truth isn't just illumination. It's a fire that burns away everything that was never real. It doesn't ask permission. It doesn't negotiate. It simply reclaims. The phone buzzed again. Another message. Another attempt from her mother to rewrite the story. But this time, Emory didn't even read it. She deleted it without hesitation, without anger. Because the war wasn't outside anymore. It was over. Her victory was not in the court papers, not in the locks she changed, not even in the silence she had earned. It was in the stillness within her. She turned to the window as sunlight poured in, the first real light she'd seen in months. It didn't blind her this time, it revealed her. And as that golden light touched her skin, she spoke one final truth, not to the world but to the force that had guided her all along. Devour everything false within me, until only what's real remains. The room trembled slightly, though no one else could have felt it, because that's how transformation truly happens. Not through drama or spectacle, but through an internal quake that no one sees, yet changes everything forever. In that moment, Emory became the very thing she had been searching for. Not the owner of a home, but the keeper of her sovereignty. And if you've listened this far, know this. The force that moved through her moves through you too. It waits, quiet, patient, unstoppable. So, if you feel it stirring, whisper the phrase below twice in the comments to claim what has always been yours. I reclaim my truth. I reclaim my truth. Because when enough awakened souls say it, the devouring force no longer hides. It becomes the world itself.